Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome back to the Denver Bears franchise 43-25 here in season number 5. Now, here we are in the middle of the month of June. We will get all the way up to the All-Star break in this episode. But one thing I want to highlight is our past draft picks. Eric Macklin is a good pitcher. This was last year's draft, and all the guys renamed to subscriber prospects. Eric Macklin, he will be replacing Benito Ramiro, who was a good starting pitcher when we drafted him. But in round 2, we drafted Adam Blankenship. This ends up being Felix Santos. And one thing I loved about him when I drafted him, he was a C potential guy, but a high 70s overall. Also 18 years old. One thing I like about him as well is we'll talk about him later, but he's a great fielder as well. Cadillac Kane was a pitcher of ours that we drafted. He will replace Rafael Miranda. Russ Burdett, the speedy outfielder, will be replaced by Takeo Oda, who is actually doing very, very well. Look at how well these guys are progressing. I think that shows with the coaching staff that we have that all these guys are getting better by the minute. Kyrie Island is a catching prospect. We don't have many catching prospects, so I want to see which one of these guys is going to pop. It could be Kyrie. He's in below 200 right now, so he's still got a few years to even show that, he's ready to be a legitimate prospect. Then there's Nick Taylor at first base. I'm not sure how much he will grow, but he has power to him in A-ball this year. So this episode, I want to spotlight a lot of guys. We're going to go through a lot of guys, a lot of prospects, even MLB players in this episode. But first, I want to start with Justin Maxwell. He was our top pitching prospect in the organization the first 4 years of this series. And now he's got his shot. He's at 79 overall. He is a potential. And he's our number 5 pitcher in our rotation. And honestly, nobody is in jeopardy of losing their spot in the rotation. We have done that well. So one thing I love about Player Lock is that you get to see how the game kind of flows. As you just see right there in the first inning, the first 3 batters of the game got on and then gave our man Maxwell a 3-run cushion. So Maxwell is a very good, I'd say he's not a pitch to contact type of pitcher, but I think that he is just well-rounded overall. He's not going to walk a ton of guys. That's one thing I like about him. He just has a fluid pitching motion. He is just going to be a solid number 5 in the rotation this year. Obviously, he can move up in the rotation as this season goes on. Here is Freddie Freeman at the plate, who bombs one deep, though, to center field. That one got way too much of the plate for Freddie. That's gone. His 17th of the year, 423 off of his bat. But Maxwell is not going to miss his spot quite a bit. I mean, he is going to be very close around the zone. As you see, that one was on the corner versus Willie Adames. And here is a ground ball to first base, and we forgot to cover first. So Adames does get on first with a single. Now, I said before going into this season that I wanted to compare Willie Adames to Eugenio Suarez. Suarez is doing a whole lot better than Adames is, to be honest with you. Adames is below 230. Suarez is around 280 this year. So I think right now we made the right move. Here is Austin Slater at the plate now. He hits one hard to the left side, and there is Suarez with the catch. And that brings it to 2 outs here in the second inning. Josh Van Meter at the plate. Strike 3 called on the swing. Circle changeup low in the zone. And that's what I love about Maxwell. He is going to be very, very precise with his pitches. His command is very good. He only gives up 2 runs in this game, pitching 6 1/3, giving up 7 hits, though. That may be a little too many, but not giving up the runs. Only 2 this game, and we get the win. And I love what I see from him. I think he's going to be a very good pitcher throughout this series. He and Atlas Luntich as our young guys in the rotation. So moving on to the guy who came into this series as the top prospect, that's Zach Veon. He's finally got his shot at the show, and yes, he has been on the MLB roster. I don't want to move him down because he is out of options on his contract, so that's why he started out this series at the MLB level this season. So here he's facing Mike Clevenger at the plate. 3-2 count here in the 4th inning for his second at bat. He fouls that one off. 3-2 pitch again. This one's crushed. Zach Veon goes deep off of Clevenger. That one was absolutely smoked. It was out of the zone too. He just went up and got it. and absolutely crushed it out in Denver. That is going to be a 2-1 lead off of the bat of Zach Veon on that one. Beautiful swing. I love what Veon is. I mean, he is a solid outfielder. He's an excellent fielder. He's got great speed at 80, and he's going to get to a lot of balls as well. You know, one thing that we have on our team right now is speed. We are one of the fastest teams in the MLB. I believe we're ranked 6th in speed, so that is pretty good. I like that we have guys that can play in the outfield and really, you know, play every outfield position, and guys that can be interchangeable. If one guy starts slumping, we put another guy in. I think that's one thing I like about this team. Benito Ozuna gets player of the game that game. We do win it, and he goes 2 for 3 in that one. Now let's look at the top prospects in baseball. One of the underrated guys in our organization is Kale Helfrich. We drafted him in season number 3. We allowed him to be at AA in season number 4, and now we're in season 5, and he's with the Isotopes at AAA, hitting tremendously, and that has actually got the attention of the MLB, putting him in the top 10 rankings as far as prospects at 23 years old. The Isotopes are 32-30 at this point, but Kale Helfrich is a good leadoff hitter. That's what he is. He is a straight leadoff hitter. He can steal bases. He's a left fielder in my opinion. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He is a decent player as far as fielding goes. I think that he has a chance to really be a future outfielder for us. Our outfield is tough though. Where are you going to find playing time? We have Will Benson, Zach Veon, now Kale Helfrich. We also have other guys like coming up in the organization like Zion Storm, who can also play in the outfield. We have plenty of outfielders in this organization, and I think that, you know, Kale, he's very, very good. I think just he has a lot of competition next to him. So here's Kale up in the 7th inning. Hard hit ball to the left side. That's a great diving stop by the third baseman. And you can just see the trend with Helfrich is that he hits the ball hard. He has good speed. He can swipe bases as well, but he makes solid contact. That's my favorite thing about him. As here he is in the top of the 10th inning, facing Nick Whitgren on the mound with a man on second base. He hits one hard to the right side, and it is snagged by the first baseman, possibly stealing away the game go-ahead run in the top of the 10th. But either way, we do get the victory in this one, and you can just see who the player of the game is. It's Brian Rocchio, and we will look at him a little later as well. So we move on a little bit, and we've been getting trade offers left and right for Brendan Rodgers, and this one is actually a pretty good one of Carter Kieboom. He is a third baseman who hasn't gotten his shot at the MLB in a few years, really, because the Nationals in this series did sign Rafael Devers, and now look at him. I mean, he is just a backup at this point. He's only has 113 at-bats, but he's actually hitting very well. He has a very cheap contract at about $3 million as well. I'm not going to do that trade right now, but I will revisit it towards, you know, the trade deadline and really just look at everything. I don't know what I'm going to need at that point. So right now I'm holding off on trading Brendan Rodgers, but I'm sure that he will get dealt at some point. Now let's check out Brian Rocchio, a top 10 prospect in baseball. I think the issue with Rocchio is that he has, like I said with our other prospect, Kale Helfrich, a lot of competition. He's got to set himself apart. I think that's Brian Rocchio's real issue, is that he's got C.J. Abrams ahead of him. Well, C.J. Abrams is very, very good defensively, and also now his bat's starting to come around. He leads the MLB right now, our MLB squad, in batting average and on base percentage. That's not a good sign for Brian Rocchio. And then at second base, well, Keston here is going to be a free agent, and I'm not sure I will bring him back simply because of the price tag. And maybe Brian Rocchio gets his shot at second base. Who knows? But we have other players in our organization that are waiting to get up there as well. There's just going to be a ton of competition for Rocchio. He is in his low 80s and only 23 years old. A potential too. I mean, there is a shot that we could use him in trades as well, but I'm not really sure. It's way too early to tell. I don't really think we need anything at the MLB level at this moment except maybe a bullpen arm. And I think catcher, we're pretty solid. Rafael Marchand is having a great year, but Rocchio could get moved up with the September call-ups. We'll have to see. There's only 2 spots now, but he does pretty well in that game. So the next AAA player we will kind of look at here is Mike Salucci. He's been a guy that actually has been very, very good for us. He is our oldest prospect we have. He's a lefty. Look at his numbers though, a .91 whip, 2.92 ERA, 39 strikeouts to 8 walks, and 74 innings pitched. That is impressive. If I don't move him up at some point, in the next month or two, he will definitely get up probably towards the end of the season, especially when we need another arm. But I'm not sure because we have some guys in our organization that are doing extremely well as far as pitching goes. And one of those players is Trez Jenkins, who's already had experience at the MLB level, but he is dominating this year. We will look at him next episode. But Mike Salucci and Trez Jenkins, those are the two guys that I'm looking to be moving up at the September call-ups. I guess we'll have to see, maybe even sooner than that. So here is Salucci in the first inning. He's not going to be a strikeout pitcher. A lot of guys are going to hit him well, and it's just going to be better defense that's going to have to be played. Here he has a couple of flyouts to center field, and that is actually Hitor Takahashi in center field. He is actually doing extremely well at AAA. If he could just get his bat around, he would likely have been the center fielder starting right now. Look at him get to these balls. I mean, he covers a ton of ground. Benito Ozuna was only acquired because Hitor Takahashi could not hit the ball well. If it wasn't for that, Hitor would be the starting center fielder at the MLB level right now over Zach Veon. So now here we are into the third inning. Mike Salucci has not given up any runs so far, but here he has given up a couple of hits. This one to right center, but look at Takahashi cutting off that ball. That's a double. If Benito Ozuna is there in center field or even other guys, that's a double, but Hitor is so good. Now a guy's on first and third. This one's a deep fly ball to left field. It will score 1 run, sacrifice fly. Nuki Ray playing in left field. He's been a guy that's been moved up back and forth as well. And it's now a 2-1 game for the Express. As Salucci tries to get out of this one, the runner is on the move, but a nice throw. Now that is not Omar Narvaez behind the plate. I'm not even sure who that is. I think that's Mike Piazza Jr., but I don't know. I couldn't really tell on that throw. The next guy I really want to talk about is Ryan Vilade. He is a guy that is very, very underrated in our system. I talked about Rocchio having competition. Well, Vilade is one of those guys. The one thing I love about Vilade more than Rocchio is that he is better defensively. Also, he has speed. And look at how he hits the ball. I mean, this is solid contact every single at-bat. That's the one thing Vilade has over him. Vilade could be the starting second baseman come next year. Maybe even get some playing time at third. I'm not sure he will play short over Abrams. Abrams is excellent defensively, but Vilade is a guy to really, really watch out for. He can hit the ball very, very well, and I really like what he can do. Both Rocchio and Vilade go 2 for 4 this game, but Vilade just is a solid hitter. He's really, really developed that part of his game to make solid contact. And I think that's one thing that is very valuable in order to go up to the show. You have to make solid contact. Maybe not get hit for high average, but if you're hitting the ball hard, I mean, you're doing something great. So now let's move over to our second round draft pick last season. This is Felix Santos, a flashy third baseman. I love his attributes. He is an excellent fielder at just 18 years old. He is only C potential, but he can hit the ball. He was at AAA earlier this year. We moved him down to AA, but could he be the replacement for Keston Hiura? Like I said, I'm not sure if I can divvy out that money to Hiura because it needs to go to other places as well. We have guys in the outfield that need to get re-signed. We also have CJ Abrams who we need to lock up to a long-term deal. And that's the reason why I might not bring back Hiura next year. Also, Hiura isn't very good defensively. It's definitely a defensive liability. So I want to look at guys like Santos who can play every infield position. Hitting .306 going into this game for the AA Yard Goats. He just gets some wood on this one. That's a hit to right field. The one thing I love about Santos too is that he's only 18 years old. Just remember that. He is going to be very, very young. He comes in not even a raw prospect. I mean, he has a ton of skills to him right now that it takes seasons for guys to get. Here he is for his second at bat in this one. This one's hit to center field. It looks like it's a shallow fly ball, and it gets down. 2 for 2 for Santos. He has decent power. It's around 50 to 60 on both sides of the plate. and I think that this guy can truly develop into something special. He's already went up by, 3 overalls at this point, and we're only, in July? I mean, the guy is hitting the ball well, and just remember that he's had experience at the AAA level and the AA. I had him at AAA just to get him some at-bats early, then I moved him down to AA. He was kind of struggling at AAA, but I want to get him some at-bats. Along with moving Patrick Summers down as well, you saw that he was starting this game, and I wanted to get him some reps because he was not doing well at AAA at all. But Santos is a guy to keep your eye on. He is a good fielder, like I said. He can be the future at third base, maybe even a full-time second base. I don't really know, but he is a good hitter, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he develops into. Look at all that competition in the middle infield. CJ Abrams, Brian Rocchio, Zion Storm, now Santos, and also Ryan Valade. I mean, so much competition there in that infield. So the Bears are 53-32 at this point in the season as we get all the way to July, just before the All-Star break after playing all those games. AJ Williams is a good prospect for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who is now at the MLB level. 17 games started. I love to see our custom prospects on other teams doing well too. He is 122 with 3.87 ERA. He gets the start today for the Diamondbacks as the Bears look to go for the sweep. But this game is not about AJ Williams. It's about Michael Toglia, a guy that has been with us this entire series so far. He is one of the Rockies' top prospects right now. We move him up to the MLB. I love what he's doing. He's a guy that I talked about maybe a couple episodes ago. And I'm going to move Charlie Blackmon down. I'm going to give Toglia a shot, and we'll see. This isn't a permanent move, but I do want to see if Toglia can really stick up here. He's going to end up platooning with Mohamed Willingham going forward. We'll have to see. I liked what Toglia is. He is a solid hitter. Nothing more, though. He's not going to have a huge ceiling. He's a C potential right now, but he can hit the ball from the left side of the plate and the right side. He is a switch hitter. So here we go. Let's see what he can do in his debut, facing AJ Williams, one of our best subscriber prospects that turn into an MLB player. He's low 80s. Let's see what he does. Toglia down 0-2 in his first at-bat. This one's hit well to left field, but it gets run down. I believe that is Seth Beer in left field for Toglia's first at-bat at the MLB level. Now in the fourth inning, he comes up to get again. Here's AJ Williams still on the mound, and that one will be inside. And a fastball, he will swing and miss at that one. Williams strikes him out. So 0 for 2 in his debut. Now in his third at-bat, 2-0 count. He goes up the middle. That's his first career hit. You can just see the attributes. He's 62 contact, 61 power, and 60 vision. Very, very good attributes right there to start out your MLB career. Hoping that he can kind of get that potential up. I think that that's kind of hurting his development. And I'm not going to manually move it. I'm just going to allow it to kind of progress as he performs well. So we'll see. Here in his fourth at-bat now, facing AJ Williams again. He's still on the mound here in the bottom of the eighth inning. He goes down 0-2. Low pitch. He goes down and gets it. This one's driven deep. Back to the wall. And it is off of the wall in left field. And that one will be a double. So a 2-hit game for Toglia here to start out his MLB career. Not bad. That will make an impression on the old ball coach. And nice little piece of hitting that time, going to opposite field. And then he comes out of the game as Zion Storm comes in to pinch run. And let's see if we can tie this ball game up here at the end of the eighth inning. As this one is going to be Winker at the plate, hit deep to right field. This one's got carry, and it gets to the warning track and bounces over the wall. You notice that the stadium is kind of messed up. For some reason in player lock, this happens. I'm not really sure why, but you see the wall is kind of lower in right field, something like that. And a bunch of stuff just like kind of looks different. So here is Zach Veon up to the plate now in the bottom of the ninth inning, 2 outs, and this one will be a hit to right field. And that's a good way to end this episode with one of our top prospects, Zach Veon. I really, really love what he is. He's just got to find the playing time. He's got to perform better. That's what gets you in the game. And I do give him opportunities. He's got about 80 to 90 at-bats this season, but he's got to show up. Zion Storm, for example, he had, when I moved him to kind of a starting hybrid role, he was hitting like 3 something. He's like 350. So I gave him some more opportunities, and he hasn't given it back really. He's either playing in the infield in certain situations or in center. So we move into the All-Star break here as we are about a week away, and you could just see Mike Soroka is the top vote getter for pitchers in the NL. He will start in the All-Star game as we are in the driver's seat in the division, 54-32. The Dodgers are only 3 games over 500. I expect them to make a second half surge, so I don't expect that to hold up. And the Padres are close by as well, but the Giants and Diamondbacks, they look like they are out of the race completely. So that's going to do it here in this episode. As you can just see, I mean, we have a lot of prospects, a lot of guys to talk about, and we didn't even cover half of them, to be honest. I mean, we have so many guys at each level that really will have a shot next year to be a starter. I don't see myself making any huge moves in free agency next year, but going down the stretch here, we could have some guys moved up and down depending on their performance. I think that's the big thing. People have to perform, and I think some guys are being put on notice with these prospects we have that are pretty good. So hit subscribe, hit that like button. That's going to do it here for the Denver Bears here in episode, 54, 55. I mean, this is crazy how we're going through this series. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tenant. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.